Greetings. Today we are watching Avatar: Bloody Angel. Now that I've said that, I have heard this song. I have heard some theories of this song, so this is more of a me sharing this video with you, and I'll talk through it a little bit at the end. So, on your mark, get set, go.
How can I breathe when my mouth is filled with the rashes? Another day lost, trying to exit the program. I've seen enough to feed what's the closest for a lifetime. Is too strong to resist, where is too far? All I did was try to save them, haunted by screams, chasing me back to my childhood. I cannot flee. I've got tormentors for a lifetime. Bloody angel, break off your chains and look what I found in the dirt. I
This is such a heavy video if you know what's going on. So, in the beginning, you see the dog running to him, if you will, to sit next to him. And dogs are significantly known. I'm going to turn this down a little bit, but so dogs are significantly known as being loyal, correct? Yes, especially German Shepherds. They're known to be protective, they're known to be very obedient, and they're known to fight if necessary. And you see the loyalty sitting next to him at this point. So loyalty is with him. He wakes up. He's like, okay, time to get up, time to go to the office. And then as you skip forward here, he gets ready, and he enters here, right? So we see this uniform, right? It is not a replica of an SS officer uniform, but it is similar enough you can make the connection to World War II, and you can make the connection to Nazi Germany. This is where your predicament starts, right? So he goes in there, and his task, as you can see, is to stamp in the name of the Fuhrer, to stamp the pages of the Jews to be exterminated for their inferior humanity, if you will. So his role, as depicted here, is basically signing these people's death certificates saying, yes, this person deserves to die. Now, here we enter an interesting minefield of philosophy, if you will, because there are a lot of people think like, oh, the Holocaust, like, that was inexcusably horrible, and there's no way anyone could, like, you couldn't possibly brainwash somebody into thinking that's okay. Well, that is true. That is inexcusably horrible, and there's absolutely no moral forgiveness for such an act. However, when you look into Nazi Germany, Germany was already fucking fucked. They were desperate. World War I had completely devastated them financially, and there was no redemption in sight, if you will. So when people get desperate, sadly, because me personally, I'm taking a Christian worldview here. So man is not morally good at our core. We are not morally good beings. We do not start off good and get turned bad. We start bad and stay bad. So when man is left in desperation, you see it from the Garden of Eden, you see it down through history. You see the willingness to turn and blame somebody. Like Adam was like, yo, Eve did this. This woman that you put here messed up. I had nothing to do with it, but this woman that you, so double blame right there. And then you see the Nazis. Hitler used the Jews because he personally did not like the Jews at all. He hated them. He said, well, the Jews are the reason for this crisis. They're the ones who caused all this damage to Germany. They are anti-Germany, so they need to be dealt with. And that's where he started, mild, right? He didn't immediately come out and say, time to kill the Jews, let's do it. No, he took the time, and he got into the church's pockets and started saying, like, okay, you can stay open and you can keep your job and keep getting paid to be the priest here or the pastor or whatever if you promote what I'm teaching, which is that the Jews are wrong. So when the religious establishment of a country shifts into teaching politics, and when the public education system shifts and starts teaching agenda instead of unbiased information, you begin to have this problem where people get brainwashed. And yes, in everyone's heart there should be some sort of moral compass, that when you get to the point where this guy is signing people's death warrants, you should have a serious internal dilemma of, I can't do this. This is wrong. Like, there's something in your gut, it's called your conscience, that will tell you this is wrong. I shouldn't do it. And that sense is usually 100% right. So if you don't listen to your conscience, you're probably a pretty fucked up individual. Just saying. Anyway, as we continue with that background, you see his first night back after this. He can't really sleep, and when he does sleep, the bloody angel, the angel of death, comes and visits him, which is ironically how the lead singer of Avatar dresses up all the time. Next day he goes to work, and there's even more papers. So he's like, fuck, I don't know what to do, right? And then you see him walk into this room, and this room is huge to me, right? Because you have the eyes, think about it, you have the eye of the Führer staring at you, being like, are you going to obey me and do what I ask, or am I going to have to kill you too? So he enters this room, and he immediately recognizes his victim, if you will. The idea here is that the bloody angel is showing him what is going on to the people he has crossed. And while some people are probably like, well, they just gassed the Jews, they didn't do any, well, yeah, I mean, as if gassing people wasn't bad enough. There's this dude named Joseph Mengele, who was also nicknamed the Angel of Death, I believe, or Dr. Death, or something like that, because of the experiments he did on Jewish people and on people. Particularly, he had an obsession with twins, so he would inject shit into twins and see which one died first, or inject stuff into their eyeballs. Oh, that's interesting. What's next? You know, and just really disgusting and disturbing and terrible things he would do to the people that were in the concentration camps. And he was a horrible person. And there's part of the human like psyche that would love to forget about the history of the atrocities that have been dealt because of how terrible they are, and part of you is like, no, we can't be that bad that we would do that. And that's kind of what this whole scene is dealing with here, is him saying, no, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do it. And as this scene develops, the angel has him tie him up, right? And in this scene, he's like, I don't want this to happen to me, but because of what I've done to these people, I know I deserve it. Like, I truly think I deserve this. You see right here, the angel's about to start cutting his arm off. And then suddenly, it switches, and look how happy he looks. He's like, yes, I'm gonna cut this guy's arm off. Like, a certain disgusting rush, but then immediately, as soon as he recognizes what's going on, the look of horror on his face of, what am I doing to these people? Like, how did I fall this far? How did I travel this journey? Like, how did I get to this point, because once you stop listening to your conscience, it is a very fast, slippery slope down to horrible stuff, honestly. So you're like, and he's just like, he's at that point where he's like, I have to get out of here. I have to run. I have to go. I can't be like, I have to face what I've done, basically. And you see here, like, the handprints on the wall of a person getting dragged out of their home. Right here, you see this scene right here, okay, where you have the angel and the dog switching back and forth, right? This is a fight between your conscience and loyalty to the state. In this case, loyalty to the government. That's how I'm interpreting it. It's like an argument about what should I do, basically. And then he's just crying at night because he can't deal with what's going on, but yet he feels trapped. So the next day he gets up and he goes to work, and now the guilt of what he's done is almost palpable, and it's sitting in the room waiting for him. And it's just looking at this person that he's marked for death, basically. And he's like, I can't, like, you never see him turn away, but you just the look of horror on his face, like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep participating in something like this, you know? And then the officer on the outside, I think, also represents how many people just turned the opposite way and denied that any of this was happening, because that was easier for them at the time. But then here, I think it's an indication that his loyalty has left the state, because at the very end, he's like, the dog turns and the loyalty leaves, because he's like, I can't keep doing this, so I will now break loyalty to the state and do what I believe is right. I mean, that's kind of how I interpreted it. That I don't know why I minimized that, but I did. This is a really heavy song, and it's a brutal reminder of where humanity goes when there's no moral compass guiding them. And scarily enough, like, humans nowadays are not any better than they were then. If anything, we're worse. So we need to, like, it's really important that we think through the things that we do. We think through what happens, and we think through the decisions we make every day. Like, the people that innocently have died in wars across the world for whatever reason, the amount of people alive today, if everyone stopped what they were doing for 15 minutes and all 7 billion people were kind to each other for 5 minutes, would not be enough to repair the damage that has happened to the world from the amount of innocent blood that has been spilled and the lives that have been destroyed. So to a degree, as the human race, we all are responsible for how we treat everyone else. And in America, at least, this year is an election year, which means if you're a Democrat, you're going to support the Democrats, and if you're a Republican, you're going to support the Republicans. And you're going to absolutely bash the shit out of people on the other side of the aisle. So think about what you say, think about what you do, and think about what you choose to engage in this year as tensions rise across the world and everywhere. Just don't talk out your ass. Think about what you're saying. Think about how it's going to affect people, and know that everybody you talk to is a real person that deserves decency and respect. So I can't stress that enough. This song is absolutely brutal. It's not heavy in the sense musically, but message wise, it's one of the heaviest songs out there. And that's the only reason really that I've taken 20 minutes to listen to the song and then go over it, because I think it really is that important that we listen to what they're saying here, because if we don't change, there's no hope for us in the future. So that's my 2 cents on this particular song. Please comment below. I would love to have a discussion about this. I do have a lot of theological and philosophical thoughts about things like this, so I don't mind engaging in those topics, even if it can get touchy. I'm okay with that. So thank you guys if you've watched this far. I know this is a long video. I apologize. And I will see you guys in the next video. And until next time, be kind and be at peace. So peace. See ya.